So, how do companies like Facebook, Airbnb, or Dropbox just seem to explode out of nowhere and take over the world? Is it just some brilliant once in a lifetime idea or a massive marketing budget? Well, it turns out the real secret to that kind of breakout success is way less about throwing money around and a lot more about a disciplined scientific method. Okay, let's get right into it. Just let that sink in for a second. Think of all the money, all the resources poured into traditional marketing for these massive software companies, and the data shows it had zero, literally zero correlation with how fast they grew. This isn't just some small issue. It's a huge sign that the entire playbook for growing a business is kind of broken. The old way of just buying your way to the top, yeah, that's just not working anymore. And here's exactly why. We are in the middle of a full-blown marketing crisis. On one hand, you've got ad costs just going through the roof because everyone's fighting for the same space online. But on the other hand, our attention as consumers has totally cratered, right? We've all got ad blockers, we stream our shows without commercials, we've become experts at just tuning out all that noise. So what does that mean? It means businesses are paying way, way more for a lot less. So if the old way is broken, what's the new way? Well, it's called the growth hacking method. And listen, this is not just another buzzword. It's a really systematic approach to growth that was pioneered by the very companies that, basically define the internet today. It's a completely different way of thinking about how a business actually grows.
Now, what's really important to get here is that growth hacking isn't some secret marketing trick or a single silver bullet. The key idea is that it's a process. It's about building a machine, an engine, inside your company that is constantly running experiments across every single part of the business. We're talking product, marketing, sales, you name it. All to discover what actually moves the needle. It's about treating growth like a science. And when you put the two side by side, the difference is just night and day. In the old world, you have the marketing team running these huge, expensive campaigns, and way over in another building, you have the product team working on features. They're in totally separate silos. And success, it might be measured in page views or likes, vanity metrics that feel good but don't always connect to actual results. The growth hacking way, it's all about small, super fast experiments run by a team of marketers, engineers, and data analysts, all working together, all focused on improving one single crucial number for the entire company, what we call the North Star metric. That's the one number that best shows you're delivering real value to your customers. Now, to make all this happen, you literally have to build an engine for growth inside your organization. And that engine has two main parts: a very specific kind of team and a repeatable, high-speed process. This right here, this is the heart of the whole method. So this is not your typical marketing department. Think of the growth team as a little mini startup living inside the bigger company. You've got a growth lead who sets the direction, a product manager who connects ideas to reality, marketers who really get the different channels, engineers who can actually build and launch the tests right into the product, and of course, data analysts who measure everything. When you put all these people in one room, you break down those walls, and suddenly they can connect the dots and see opportunities that nobody would ever have noticed before. And this team works in a constant loop, a really high-tempo testing cycle. It's pretty straightforward. First, they ideate. They brainstorm a ton of ideas for growth from everywhere. Then they prioritize. They score those ideas based on things like potential impact and how easy they are to do. Third, they test. They run the top idea as a quick, small experiment. And finally, they analyze the data. Did it work? Why? Why not? And everything they learn from one cycle feeds right back into the next round of ideas. It creates this amazing flywheel of constant improvement. But hold on, before you even think about building this engine, there is one absolutely critical thing you have to figure out first. Because pouring gas on a fire that isn't really burning is just a big waste of gas, right? It's the same thing with growth. You have to know for sure if your product is a true must-have for your users. Trying to grow a product that people just don't value that much is probably the #1 reason startups fail. So how do you know? How do you get a clear signal, backed by data, that your product is actually ready to hit the accelerator? Well, it all boils down to asking your most active users one incredibly simple but really profound question. This is it. This is the question. It's not, hey, do you like our product? Or what features should we add? It's, how disappointed would you be if this was just gone? And the choices are simple: very disappointed, somewhat disappointed, or not disappointed. This question just cuts right through all the noise and tells you how much your product actually matters in your users' lives.
And the answer you are looking for is this number. This right here is the magic threshold. It's the benchmark that separates the products that are just nice to have from the ones that are absolute must-haves.
The 40% rule is super simple. If at least 40% of your users say they would be very disappointed if your product vanished, then congratulations, you've hit what they call product/market fit. That is your green light to slam on the growth accelerator. But if you're below 40%, then your one and only job is to figure out why, to improve the product until you hit that magic number.
Okay, so let's say you've got a must-have product, you've hit your 40%, and you've got a growth team ready to go. Now what? Where do you actually focus? Well, you apply this method across the entire customer journey, but we're going to look at 3 of the most crucial levers: acquisition, activation, and retention. All right, first up, acquisition. This is all about how you get new people in the door. The big shift here is that growth hacking isn't about asking, how can we buy more ads? It's about asking, how can we build marketing directly into the product itself? It's a totally different mindset. It's about finding the smartest, most scalable ways to reach people, often by making the product the engine of its own growth. Dropbox is just the perfect example of this. They knew they couldn't afford to pay for users with advertising. So instead of offering people cash for referrals, they offered something their users wanted even more: free storage space. By giving free space to both the person referring and the new person signing up, they baked this powerful reason to share right into the core experience. It created this viral loop that was perfectly in sync with why people use Dropbox to begin with. Just brilliant. But look, getting someone to sign up is really only the first step. Activation is what comes next, and it's critical. This is all about getting that new user to experience your product's core value for the first time, that aha moment where it all just clicks for them. This is the moment a random visitor turns into an actual engaged user. And the classic case study here is Facebook. Their data team dug in and found this magic number. If a new user connected with 7 friends in their first 10 days, they were almost guaranteed to become a long-term active user. So what did they do? They completely re-engineered their entire sign-up process to be totally focused on one thing: helping you find and add friends as fast as possible. They basically paved a highway straight to that aha moment. Okay, so once a user is active, the name of the game becomes retention. How do you keep them coming back? Now, this is often the most overlooked part of growth, but honestly, it's the most powerful. Just look at this stat from Bain & Company. A tiny 5% improvement in keeping your customers can boost your profits anywhere from 25% to a whopping 95%. That's because you're not constantly spending money trying to replace people who are leaving. And here's a fantastic example of retention in action. The growth team at BitTorrent surveyed their most active free users, the people who use the app all the time but never paid. And they found out their biggest complaint was that it drained their phone's battery. So they ran an experiment. They added a new battery-saving feature, but only to the paid Pro version. Then they cleverly promoted it to free users at the exact moment their battery was running low. The result? A 47% jump in revenue, all from listening to their best users and solving a real problem. So here's the big takeaway from all this. That kind of breakout growth we all see and wonder about, it isn't magic. It's a methodology. It's about building that special cross-functional team, being obsessed with data, and running that high-speed cycle of experiments to find out what really truly works. The principles, acquisition, activation, retention, they apply to any business, no matter how big or small. The engine is just waiting for you to build it. So the only real question left is, what's the first experiment you're going to run?